Alright, welcome to the third and final installment of our PHP XML tutorial. We are building this system. We've got our online order form where our items and costs from our menu come in the form of an XML file. We can submit the quantities, and we're using a PHP loop to create each of our rows in our table, and we're using the array name structure. In the second video, we completed our order page. We can have a look at that. Here is our order page here. I'm still showing our our class data here, but we can let's have a couple of frittatas, a beef burger and some tortillas, and we'll submit that, and this is where we've got to. So we're going to take the time now to put out our order confirmation, and this is what we're looking to see at the end: how many of each one that we've ordered, and some totals at the bottom. Let's get started. Alright, so our confirm page simply has this, and what we need to do is to hook up our class. So again, let's include our classes menu class, and we'll create a new instance of our menu class, and we'll tell it where the XML file is. So we know at this point that menu has got our elements in it. Let's confirm that for ourselves. We'll go ahead and refresh that. So we've got our array of things that we want, and these are the array of things with our titles and costs. So what we're actually going to do is create a new array called an order that combines this array with these values, does some calculations, and outputs the order then at the end. Let's have a look and see how we're going to do that. I will make the point again that there are a number of different ways of going about this. This is simply one. You could create another class called order that has all of this information, but just having already demonstrated how the class is going to work, I'm not going to do that in here. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is just do a check that submit has actually occurred. And if it hasn't, then I'm going to redirect them back to the order page. Alright, so we don't want people coming directly to our confirmation page until they've submitted an order, and this is how we're checking that. Alright, so as I said before, we're going to create an order array. Alright, so this is going to be an array, an associative array that's going to have the it's going to have this information basically. Okay, so it's going to have the title. It's going to have the unit cost. It's going to have the quantity, and it's going to have the amount for that line. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do that. We know that we have this array that's got the same number of elements as our menu object array here. So we're going to use that to our advantage. Okay, so let's start by doing a for loop from 0 to however many there are. Alright, so obviously count of get quantity is going to be 4. Alright, and we're going to create an item. Let's call it an order item so we don't get confused with what we had before, which is going to have a title, which is going to have some value, which we'll sort out in a minute. It's going to have a unit cost. It's going to have a quantity. And it's going to have an amount, which is going to be the unit cost times the quantity. Alright, so where are we getting this information from? So this is going to come from menu get data I title. So if you recall, menu get data simply returns the data array here. We could make the data member a public member, and then we don't need to do this part, but that's well, this is a better practice. So from this array, we want the 0th element, and from that element, we want the title, and we're going to pop that into the title here. For the unit cost, we want the same thing. From our menu, we want to get the data from this element, and we want the cost. The quantity is going to come from the get array. And it's also going to be the ith element. And our amount is in fact going to be this cost times this quantity. All right. So having put together this order item, I'm then going to push that onto the order. I do need to do a check though. If we go back to our original item here, we had 2 pumpkin and feta frittatas, but we didn't have any soup. So I have to make sure that we aren't adding items of 0 to our order. So I can do an if statement here. I can say if this particular quantity is greater than 0, then add it. So let's take all of this then and move it inside our if statement. So now we're only adding the item to the order if we actually ordered some. While we've got this, let's add up our values. So we've created this order item, we've added it to our order. Now let's add up our subtotal. So we're going to add order item amount. So we're going to add that onto whatever the subtotal currently is. So we'll start at 0, but then it'll add up as we go. All right, let's have a look and see what order has for us at this point. All right, so our order has only got 3 items in it. That's good because we didn't order any soup. We've got pumpkin and fretted frittata that cost $19 each. We've got 2 of them, and that's cost $38 altogether. We've got 1 beef burger at $13.50, and we've got 1 tortilla at $10. Okay, and let's also echo out our subtotal. See that we're on track. There it is, $61.50. 38 plus $13.50 is $51.50 plus $10. So we're on track. Having added all these up, we need to calculate our GST. So obviously our GST is going to start at 0, and it's going to be our subtotal times 10%, and then our total is going to be our subtotal plus GST. Let's create our total variable up here. It's very good practice to initialize your variables. In some programming languages, you have to do it. In PHP, you don't, but it's always a habit that I'm in of initializing my variables at the beginning of my block so that I know that they're ready to use here. I don't get lots of errors in my pages unless I've made an error. So let's just make sure that that part is working before we go ahead and code anything else. We've got our GST and we've got our total. So we'll just check that that's working. GST is $6.15, and those numbers look like they add up to me. All right. So if you recall, this is what we're trying to output in the end. Okay. So again, we need another table here. We've got item, quantity, unit price, and amount. Look at this. Title, unit cost, quantity, and amount. Not quite in the same order, but it doesn't matter for an associative array. We can output them any way we like. So let's go ahead and make this table. All right. So again, we've got a table tag here. We've got a T head. and our row has headers of item. Let's just check item, quantity, price, and amount. Item, quantity, unit cost, amount. Okay, in our footer of our table, we're going to have the subtotal, and that's going to echo out the subtotal here. So let's put that in. Okay. Then we'll have a next row, which I'm just going to copy that now. So that's going to be GST. And just take off that. Not going well with my pasting. And it's going to be total, including GST. These are not going to be formatted like numbers, but let's just see what our table looks like for now. There we go. Doesn't look like much. But if I were to link the CSS file, then it might look a little bit nicer. We don't have any rows yet. Let's sort that out. So this structure of putting the T head section and the T foot section, it's quite accessibility. So for screen readers to know where the table sections start and end. And it is conventional to do the header and then the footer and then the body. So now this is the section here where we're going to do a loop. So each loop is going to have a row. And then it'll have a table data that will have the item, the quantity, the price, and the amount. All right, so the item, the quantity, and the amount. All right, so our PHP loop, we're going to do a for each loop. We're going to loop through our orders. For each order as an order item. Okay. And then each row then is going to have a PHP. We're going to echo out order item title. And then let's just double check our orders. Our quantity, our unit cost, and our amount. All right, let's see what that's going to give us. Okay, so we've got our pumpkin and feta frittata, 2 of those at $19 each for $38. Our beef burger, 1 of those at $13.50. All right, so we're done. I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting here, show you a couple of little tricks. Okay, so obviously these we need to do a number format. Okay, and we also want to add a class number so we can align them like we did in our other table. So I'm just going to click here and here. Oh, that didn't work. Come on. Click here and here. Let's head to there. Alright, so each one's got a class number. Now these are currency, so let's put in a little span tag, which has got a $sign on it and has a class of currency. Here we'll put a class of number on this one. That's for order item. We'll do the same for the unit cost and the amount. Now these are span, these are currency, so we'll put that in there as well. And then we're going to output these as numbers. So let's, oops. Number format 2. Let's see if that gives me what I want. Yes, it does. I'm going to hide these echoes, and there's my order confirmation page. Let's go back to my order page, get rid of that. Okay, and we can use our page. So let's go back to our document. So we had pumpkin and feta frittatas at $19, feta spelled interestingly, lentil and pumpkin soup for $6, beef burgers, wow, they're $13.50. They were $12. Let's change them back to $12 in the XML file. Help out those beef farmers. Okay. Now in here we had 3 pumpkin and feta frittatas and 1 tortilla, and it was $73.70. So 3 frittatas and 1 tortilla, 3 frittatas and 1 tortilla, and we'll submit that, and we've got $73.70. And so that is the end of that. So thanks for watching. We've built a simple online ordering system. We've looked at HTML forms, tables, we've used PHP classes, and we've been able to read an XML file. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.